Did you know that Monk Gyatso used a forbidden airbending technique to defend himself from the firebenders? Or that there was actually an evil avatar? Or that Aang even completely cut off Roku in the comics? Well, today we're going to break down these facts and 41 more for a total of 44 secret facts you probably haven't heard of in the Avatar universe. So hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and let's get into it. Combustion bending started as a weapons program. In the Yang Chen era, the earliest recorded combustion benders were developed as human weapons through the Unanimity Project. The project conducted various dangerous and inhumane experiments on benders and non-benders, hoping to turn them into human weapons. The only successful part of this experiment was to create combustion benders. Lightning used to be secret enough to kidnap for. In Kyoshi's era, lightning generation was so rare and valuable that a man named Zhu Ping An was secretly kept alive after his defeat so that Fire Nation allies could study how he did it. By Korra's time, factory workers were casually generating electricity, which shows just how fast elite secrets can become industrial labor. The first known lava bender was an Avatar accountant. Avatar Seto, the Fire Nation avatar before Yang Chen, is the first known lava bender in the world. His most absurd feat was triggering 4 small volcanoes at the same time, which is very funny considering his real legacy was paperwork, because Seto saved the Fire Nation with bureaucracy. Most avatars fix the world through battles, diplomacy, or spiritual crises. Seto instead became a bureaucrat, diplomat, accountant, and a grand advisor to the Fire Lord. He then used policy and economic reform to pull the Fire Nation back from collapse. The air nomads were almost all airbenders for a spiritual reason. Airbending went beyond being common among the air nomads. Their culture was so spiritually intense that every single air nomad was born an airbender. There was a forbidden airbending ability that only Yang Chen used. This ability used airbending to amplify the air in her voice to create a supersonic scream which would stun victims and leave them sometimes permanently deafened. It was good for both escaping situations and for incapacitating enemies. Monk Gyatso's forbidden ability. The reason we see Monk Gyatso's body with absolutely no scorch marks is because he likely used a forbidden airbending technique where he sucked all of the air out of the room, an all-in move. This is why the bodies are all around him and not scattered around different parts of the room, which they would have been if he was using airbending to defend himself in the normal way. Kyoshi was half air nomad. Kyoshi's mother, Jessa, was a renegade air nomad nun who became a crime boss after falling in love with Hark, an Earth Kingdom thief. So the most physically imposing Earth Kingdom avatar had air nomad blood. Kyoshi's team avatar was basically a criminal gang. Before Aang had the gang, Kyoshi had the Flying Opera Company, an outlaw group who was tied to her parents. Her early support system was the opposite of a polished circle of sages. It was criminals, performers, fighters, and survivors. During Kyoshi's time, the world trained the wrong avatar. Yun, Kyoshi's friend, was misidentified as the Earth avatar after an exhausting search across the world. He was treated like the chosen one until Kyoshi's identity surfaced. And then Zhanzhu discarded him in one of the coldest betrayals in Avatar history. You can read the Kyoshi novels to find out what happened there. Father Glowworm is one of the creepiest spirits in Avatar canon. Father Glowworm is described as a huge glowing eye connected to veins and human teeth, able to tunnel between worlds. Yun later fought and absorbed him, turning an already tragic false avatar into something far worse. Kyoshi's long life comes from an assassin's immortality method. Lao Ge, also called Tigui the Immortal, claimed to know the secret of immortality and taught Kyoshi how to later live for 230 years, making her the oldest confirmed human in the franchise. And some people actually think that Guru Patik is Tigui the Immortal. Kyoshi Island used to be a peninsula. Kyoshi's victory over Chin the Conqueror was more than a normal duel. She separated her home peninsula from the mainland to protect her people, and Chin died because he refused to move as the cliff collapsed beneath him. This is one of the rare moments where a fully realized avatar uses multiple elements at once to achieve a goal. Avatar Kuruk's reputation was a lie. Kuruk is remembered as lazy and irresponsible, while the novels reveal he spent his life secretly hunting dark spirits in the spirit world. Every battle damaged him, which helped explain why he died so young. Yang Chen's success created Kuruk's nightmare. Avatar Yang Chen was beloved because she protected the human interests, but her spirit policies created consequences that Kuruk inherited. Because Avatar Yang Chen failed to deal with the dark spirits in her time, the blame was put on Kuruk. In the comics, Aang makes a promise to Zuko to kill him if he ever becomes like his father Ozai. It gets to a point where Aang is about to do this, but he asks Roku for advice, and Roku assures him that he must keep his promise, and he regrets not doing so with Sozin. However, Aang ends up reneging on his promise, and he knows that he can't kill Zuko, so he cuts off Roku forever, saying that this is a new world and that Roku's time has passed. The Avatar cycle is actually in the pattern that Wan first learned it. Wan learned the elements fire, air, water, and earth, and now every new avatar is basically walking through the first avatar's life once again. Lion turtles gave bending, and then original masters taught the mastery. The lion turtles gave the elemental powers to the humans, but they learned from the dragons, the badger moles, the sky bison, and the moon. This way they were given the power by the lion turtles but learned to master it through the animals. This is a way to reconcile the Avatar the Last Airbender lore with what we learnt in Korra. Republic City was created from the earth colonies in Cranefish Town and Yu Dao. These were colonies where both earthbenders and firebenders lived together in harmony after the war, and they didn't want to return back to their previous owners, which was the Earth Kingdom. As a result, a compromise was made and Republic City was created on this spot. The cabbage merchant from The Last Airbender became a corporate empire. The exact same cabbage merchant whose cart gets destroyed across 3 seasons eventually founded Cabbage Corp, a massive industrial corporation that becomes a major player in Republic City during the Legend of Korra. His descendant, Laogan Lan, runs the company by the time Korra becomes the Avatar. Katara made bloodbending illegal. Bloodbending is one of the only bending arts that we know became specifically outlawed. Katara, who hated the technique after learning it from Hama, later pushed hard enough across multiple countries in the world to outlaw it and create a treaty that it would be outlawed in all of the nations. There was only one evil Avatar in Avatar history. He became disdainful of humanity after he tried to save them over and over again, but they never learned from their mistakes and kept putting themselves in danger. This led him to withdraw from humanity and view them as a scourge. Pli was raised as a living weapon. Pli's story goes far beyond rare talent and a later alliance with Zahir. As a child, a warlord captured her and trained her as an assassin after seeing her combustion bending, until Zahir eventually rescued her and turned her pain into a cause. Sokka pulls back from kissing Suki under the moon. When Sokka and Suki share a romantic moment in season 3, Sokka visibly hesitates to kiss her in direct moonlight. The reason is obviously that his first love, Yue, had recently become the moon spirit, meaning he was emotionally avoiding kissing another woman directly under her gaze. Jinora's spirit projection is actually an airbending sub-technique. Her astral form comes from a specific spiritual discipline. It's high-level airbending technique mixed with deep spirituality, letting her move places that her body certainly cannot reach. Chi blocking quietly shaped the next century of Avatar. Ty Lee's technique survived the war. She taught it to the Kyoshi warriors, and later generations of non-benders used chi blocking against benders, and eventually helping to define the equalist fighting style in Republic City. Ko the Face Stealer has a mother. The Mother of Faces is an ancient spirit who gives faces to living things, and she is also Ko's mother. That tiny fact turns Ko from a random nightmare monster into part of a much older spiritual family. Zuko's mother had her face and memories changed. Ursa's disappearance went far beyond leaving the palace. The Mother of Faces gave her a new identity, and Ursa chose to lose the memories of Zuko and Azula because the pain was unbearable, never being able to see them again. Zuko has a secret half-sister. After Ursa became Noriko and reunited with Ikem, her previous love, before she was stolen away by Ozai, she had another daughter with him named Kiyi. So Zuko and Azula have a younger half-sister who grows up outside of the palace. Ursa saved Zuko by helping Ozai murder Azulon. When Azulon ordered Ozai to kill Zuko, Ursa intervened by giving Ozai a poison that allowed him to kill Azulon and then take the throne. Zuko survived because his mother made this terrible bargain, but because the poison could also be used to kill Ozai later, he banished her from the Fire Nation Palace. Fire Lord Sozin had a sister who embraced air nomad ideas. Princess Zai-san, Sozin's sister, was a non-bender who leaned into air nomad philosophy and planned to renounce her wealth. She even became connected to the Guiding Wind, an air nomad outlaw group. The Guiding Wind opposed nobility and wealth, which made Sozin see air nomad philosophy as dangerous inside his own nation. Long before the attack on the air nomads, there were ideological reasons for him to fear air nomad influence. Sozin staged a fake assassination to manipulate Roku. In the newer Roku era lore, Sozin arranged a fake assassination attempt near the Southern Air Temple to manipulate Roku and get him sympathy. There was actually an island in the Fire Nation where members of all 4 nations lived together in harmony. This was known as the Lombok Clan Island. There was a rare non-air nomad airbender in Roku's era. A member of that Lombok clan that I mentioned earlier, Amihan, was an airbender outside of the Air Nation. That is absolutely huge, as this is the first ever airbender who is confirmed not to be part of the Air Nomads. The Fire Nation hunted surviving Air Nomads with relic traps. The hunting down of the Air Nomads continued beyond the temples. In the comics, Aang finds that survivors were lured with Air Nomad artifacts into traps by many high-ranking Fire Nation commanders, including Commander Zhao. The Sun Warriors preserve the real meaning of fire. The dragons run and shore with the original firebending masters, and the Sun Warriors kept the old forms alive. Their fire is life, energy, and awe, which explains why Zuko's rage-based firebending stops working after he changes. And it's also cool to know that the golden dragon egg that Zuko and Aang get captured trying to investigate is actually the egg that becomes Druk, Zuko's dragon later in the Legend of Korra. A spirit named General Old Iron makes Aang's industrial world haunted. In the Rift comics, Aang faces General Old Iron, a spirit who sees industry as a violation of sacred land. As a result of his encounter, Aang creates the Spirits Friendship Festival, trying to give spirits a place in the changing world. The Red Lotus came from the White Lotus breaking itself. After the 100-Year War, Zhai Bao rejected the White Lotus for becoming too public and too loyal to the Avatar. He created a splinter group which became the Red Lotus, carrying the old secret society's idea into violent revolution. In Fire Nation legend, the Kamurakage was spirits who haunted ancient warlords. In the comics, that legend gets exploited by humans who impersonate them to spread fear and abduct children, which is classic Avatar myth becomes politics. And in fact, Azula even pretends to be one of these Kamurakage. And that leads us off with the final fact, and that is that Azula actually gets put into a mental institute after the main series. Eventually, Zuko does allow her out of this facility because they want to go find their mother together, but of course she escapes and creates even more trouble than can ever be imagined. So those are 44 facts you may not have known about the Avatar the Last Airbender universe, including the Legend of Korra. If you enjoyed and want to see more facts like this, hit that subscribe button, leave a like down below, and drop a thank Mr. Zuko in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next one.